It won't take long. It won't take long.
With me, all it is free music, and as long as you can play, I'm on.
All right, I can Brad on both accounts here. We have everybody? Start with a little invitation today. Our most gracious God, thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for this beautiful season where the reds and golds and purple of the fall becomes the promise of a new spring. Winter causes us to reflect. Truly we see our we gather to honor one of your children who has come to live again in your arms. We honor John Curry for his life, a life serving you, serving his family, and serving his community. We pray that you watch over his wife and family here on earth. Help us to care about people who are hurt, be conscious about the cruelty of war. Show us how we can be healers and reconcilers and lovers in the world. Lead us to do right by others in our daily lives. Help us to be an influence for good throughout our lives. We pray that our activities be acceptable in your sight. We pause at this hour in the daily flow of our lives to pay a very special tribute today at this very special historical place to honor our fallen leader and our friend. We're blessed to have his family here today so that we can somehow demonstrate our deep affection and our loyal respect for him. We only hope that today's gathering will be a fitting enough tribute, one that suitably honors a good man's memory. As humble as our ceremony may be, the planting of this tree is our way of expressing our mark of respect to the memory of John James Curry. Today we recognize the significance of John's life in his fantastic family, in his children and grandchildren, and of course his very kind, supportive wife, Julie. There stands John Curry's best friend. His work extended beyond the family in some wonderful ways. It spread into the community beyond and it touched many lives. John's is a story of giving. As a member of the U.S. Army, Lieutenant Colonel Curry gave to his country. His 3 tours of Vietnam underscored this. As a member of the Denby Lions, John gave to the community in countless, sometimes unseen ways. He served in every position in the club over his long tenure, and he made many dear lifelong friends. As a long-term member, and from 96 to 2000 as the president of the Fort Bucyrus Historical and Archaeological Association, John also gave countless hours researching and uncovering the history of the community. His interest in all things Old Warwick County, Mulberry Island, and Denby helped to shape VHA in its 4th decade. His book, The Warwick Beauregards, chronicles the history of the 32nd Virginia Infantry Company H from Warwick County, Virginia. Mr. Curry immersed himself in the history of the Warwick's volunteer militia, and he shared that knowledge with anyone interested. The names of these soldiers and the story of their lives were in his constant thoughts. He also gave his time and effort to properly honor some of those soldiers from the Warwick Beauregards in a more direct way. John helped to locate and erect proper markers on their final resting places at the Pines Golf Course. Now that these soldiers' locations are known and marked, the grave sites may be visited. These boys and men can now be given our respect and our thanks for their service. All of this is thanks to our friend and leader, John Curry. He is undoubtedly appreciated by all of their families here on earth and by the foes in heaven. I picture John in their company, accepted, Yankee as he was, as one of them in a place where time has commingled. They are all together now. John gave. He researched and studied his adopted hometown and surroundings, and he delved into the lives of many old characters of Denby. Red Johnson, J.T. Garrow, Levin Smith, Hellcat Billy Jones, Humphrey Harwood Curtis, Lucy Crawford, Matthew Jones. These names would soon have been lost to all but a very few without John's work to bring back some of the old tales. He interviewed many old-timers for stories of the past. His articles in the Denby Gazette brought together all of this nearly lost information, and it rekindled many readers' interest in the local history. In the demoted county seat of Denby, in an extinct county of Warwick, with 8,000 acres of Mulberry Island sold out to the Army, and a large industrial shadow of a large city enveloping all, there was a scarcity of pride left among the people of Denby. After 40 years of consolidation, Warwick County was becoming a distant memory. Denby had become a 4-letter word. Mulberry Island was a place mostly forgotten. John's Days Gone By articles restored a measure of pride among the people of Denby and those who remember Warwick County of old. What a precious, very precious gift he gave to scores of people. He restored pride in their community. John called me in July of 2007 with a gleam in his eye that you could hear over the phone. He informed me that he had been selected as Denby's honorary mayor at the upcoming Denby Day scheduled for September 15th. It was rare to see him overtly excited, and I thought that the Lions Club had made a perfect fit. He was to be paraded and swooned over by Denbyites and recognized by the community for his accomplishments, but sadly, John did not live to see that day. Nevertheless, I'm positive that John was there on that Saturday to witness the community's appreciation for him. This brings us to today, a bit more than a year after his passing, and it brings us to this place, a very special place. John was always intrigued by the Matthew Jones house. In 1994, the scene looked entirely different. For one thing, it was a huge sewage treatment plant renovated. The house was just here. It wasn't really anything. It was built in some form originally as early as the 1680s. It was bricked up in 1727, renovated to a full two-story house in the late 1800s, and then used by the Army throughout World War II and neglected for many decades afterwards. It was on the verge of structural collapse. Said at the time was that one big snowstorm or one hurricane would be the end of the Matthew Jones house, and that could have happened. Future children may come to view this home and experience 17th century colonial Virginia, or study Old English medieval architecture, or learn about the families that preceded us all on Mulberry Island. But John Curry's, he may not have done it alone, but John Curry's voice, coupled with his tenacity and perseverance, saved this structure for us. More importantly, he saved it for his grandchildren and our grandchildren, and hopefully their grandchildren. So in a large way, John gave us this house. Fittingly, today here on Mulberry Island, we plant this weeping mulberry tree. In his honor, we dedicate this plaque in the hopes of doing proper homage to a wonderful man who accomplished great things for sometimes a belatedly thankful community. Future visitors to this historic place will be able to learn about John and his efforts to save this home. John's family and friends may gather here 20 years, 30 years, 50 years from now. Be refreshed by the shade of his tree and remember John James Curry. To open it up anytime. Anyone would like to say anything about John? Please do.
I hadn't known John very long because I'm sort of a newcomer. It's only been about 5 years since I joined the group. But I remember my first day with John. We had gone on a trip down to Marston's Creek to look for the church down there. He's always looking for. That was his passion. And I got out of the car, and the first thing I said, John, where do we start to dig? Well, he would have thought the world had come to an end. Because he said, you are got to be the dumbest individual I've ever seen. Don't you know we don't dig an archaeological site, we excavate. So I learned the hard way, okay? But John was a great guy. I've known him for 5 years. We got to be good friends. I visited his home a couple of times. His passion was the Mulberry Island Church. Unfortunately, we did find it for him. We didn't find the church itself. We found the general location. It is down in not on Marston's Creek, but down on Nels Creek, about 2.5 miles south. But we also found a second church that we didn't know existed. And I've talked to John about that before he passed. And surprisingly, it's right across the creek here. That's supposed to be Baker's Neck, right over here. And we had enough information from the University of Michigan and the Archaeological Association of Virginia to prove that that was Baker's Neck. And I met with John about a week before he passed away. We went over all the papers, and he was satisfied that yes, that was the Baker's Neck track after all. We had two churches to the one. So he went upstairs, knowing that he had found all of his churches. He was happy. So
His work continues.
work continues, yeah.
Anyone else
We're
like to
now
say?
in the process of searching for the second church. And I'm not going to stop till I find it. Okay? I promise you. But I made John that promise.
Anyone else like to say anything about John?
Yes. John Curry was a member of the Denby Lions Club, and when they opened up the Lions Club to women, he was not exactly